ages ago. So it's not an option. I think it's their duty for both East and West to talk to Al-Qaeda because they're responsible of the formation of Al-Qaeda. So how could you tell us not to negotiate with them?
And who in Al-Qaeda would you like to talk to?
To the leaders of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, or every member of Al-Qaeda who's willing to come and talk. If we open the floor to Al-Qaeda and start talking to them, because we created them. They didn't exist out of nowhere.
Adam Holloway.
Well, I was in Afghanistan with the resistance in the early 80s. I imagine Tim probably was as well. And, you know, we did not create... No. We weren't. Oh, later then. We did not create Al-Qaeda. What we did was we supported resistance groups. In fact, through the General's Department, ISI, Britain and America gave equipment and money, and the Pakistanis channeled that to the most efficient military groups in order to fight the Russians. So we weren't creating Al-Qaeda, we were trying to get the Russians out of Afghanistan in line with what the Afghan people at the time wanted quite badly.
Irrespective of how Al-Qaeda originated, and this is subject to historical, analytical analysis, whatever that might be, the reality is it's gone. What we're facing today is today. We have unleashed this Frankenstein, and it's no good to say, well, this is how it happened. That Frankenstein is out there and it's spreading and causing all that death, and it needs to be tackled head on.
You see, the lady did make a very good point that we do create sometimes organizations for a particular purpose, but when that purpose is over, we do not want them to follow the same purpose elsewhere. Afghanistan is again under occupation. So is Iraq.
So what's your argument? Don't create them in the first place.
My argument is that if it was right to resist Soviet occupation, it is absolutely legitimate for so many groups to resist foreign occupation in other countries nowadays, and for the rest of us to sympathize with those people who are resisting, who are getting more cadres, and what we are doing in return is calling these people names. We'll just declare them terrorists, we prejudge what might happen, and we also call dialogue process with them an illusion.
General,
now, this is a disingenuous argument.
General, Pakistan is not under occupation, but there are car bombs going off in Pakistan today.
Yes.
Morocco is not under occupation.
It's because people sympathize with what happens next door, and we are actually also doing few wrong things within our territory. We're also carrying out these military actions, sometime under pressure, sometime, wrongly, against our own tribals.
We're going to go to the question.
That is how it's perceived.
In the third row. Question in the third row.
This question is for Mr. Durrani. Don't you think that talking to Al-Qaeda and recognizing them will show some signs of weakness within the Occidental camp and therefore open doors for other terrorist organizations?
You see, this is a point that one wanted to make in the presentation, that you do not want to talk to anyone. And you also do not want to talk to the other side when you think that you are going to speak from a position of weakness. And if our assessment is that we're getting weaker and they are getting on the march, and there are good indications, their sympathy is increasing, their ability to carry out, perpetrate certain actions is increasing, that means they must be getting in strength. So before they get too strong, in that sense, in the people's perceptions, where they are not willing to, even accommodate those things that my friends here are worried about, then we have a problem. Trust any good intelligence agency that they have the right type of context and they can make a few things happen. It's not only because Zawahiri's tapes are then released through a certain organization, but also so many hostages that were taken. If some good people in contact got them released, so you can be quite sure that there are credible sources available to bring about the negotiations at the right time, at the right place,
after the WMDA fiasco in Iraq, can you recommend any good intelligence agencies?
Try ISI.
Thank you. Gentleman at the back.
Yes, my question is for Mr. Terry, please. Can you negotiate with the Pope and try to talk him out of being Catholic?
Talk him out of being?
Catholic.
Can we talk with the Pope and talk him out of being Catholic?
Yeah, you're a negotiator, right?
No, I think it's unlikely.
Because he's a man of concept. He has concepts carved inside his heart, soul, and mind deeply. That's why I think you cannot talk to Al-Qaeda, because I rather agree with Mr. Adams, they're rational. They're not crazy people. Crazy people are easy. A psychiatrist would do it. So can you talk to a man of reason who believes in this thing, who would die for it?
If you are prejudging
Can we
what
hear
these
from Terry
people
Waite,
are.
please, General Durrani, please.
Well, you see, we're talking now about a question of tactics. How do you approach this? Al-Qaeda have an extreme view, and they use extreme violence to pursue that view. Now, the question is, how do you begin? And my argument is that you begin by building the confidence with the Islamic world, and the Islamic world will begin, if it has that confidence of the West, it will begin to isolate Al-Qaeda itself, because Al-Qaeda is as big a nuisance to the Islamic world as it is to the West. And the majority of the Islamic world do not subscribe to the way in which Al-Qaeda practices its particular philosophy. But until there is that confidence, until there is that dialogue, it's going to be exceptionally difficult to even begin the dialogue, to clear away the assumptions, and to get what we need to get to are some of the underlying issues that cause this problem. I go back to what I said.
All right.
Terrorism is a symptom. It is not, in fact, the root issue.
Okay, I'm going to have to go to the lady in the first row there.
Al-Qaeda, you said that Al-Qaeda is a death machine, and it hurts to see a lot of people dying. But what hurts the most as a Muslim is that it's representing Islam. And my question is, as a Muslim, don't you believe it's our duty to talk to them, because it's our religion? And they probably, I don't know if they're misguided but forget politically, but as a Muslim, shouldn't we talk to them and get a clarification?
If I can answer this directly, the answer is you talk to everybody who expresses sympathy and with them, you talk to everybody who might be influenced by them, you talk to everybody who wants to talk about what they're doing. But just conceptually differentiate between the individual who gets twisted ideas about religion or misguided, and between an organization that has a structure, sources of fund, ways of operation, intelligence gathering, recruiting, operating, and the whole machine, this whole organization has one goal: create mayhem, bomb with no limitation. With the organization, as an organization, there is nothing to talk about. But with souls, of course, every soul, there is a way to reach to that soul and to show the light to. But we are not talking about individuals. We're not talking even about Bin Laden as a person and his religious background. We are talking about an organization whose mission is to spread death. And that's the reason there is nothing to talk about.
Are you convinced by that?
I don't think it's an organization, because we're part of it, whether we like it or not. When I say I'm a Muslim, I do get second thoughts. Oh, is she a terrorist? So I'm part of it, whether I like it or not. And I don't think it's an organization where we can step aside and say, oh, we can't talk to Bin Laden. But we should talk to the high people in charge of this, and because we're really, really part of it, whether, as I said.
One last remark. I say
Very
it is very unfortunate that the way the media in the West or politicians have used the word Islam and Islamist and terrorist in such an easy way that makes a lot of people feel they're pushed on the other side.
Okay.
But that's a fundamental sin.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the point in the proceedings where we're going to vote on the motion that this House believes it's time to talk to Al-Qaeda. Would you please take your voting machines? If you want to vote for the motion, that is for the views of the gentleman on my right, you press button 1, the yellow one. If you want to vote against the motion, represented by the views on the left, my left here, then you press button 2, the red button, and vote against the motion. Would you just do that now? All right, the vote should be coming up now on the screens. And there we have it, 63.3% in favour of the motion, 36.7% against. The motion has been pretty resoundingly carried. All it remains for me to do is to thank our distinguished panellists who've come a long way to be here tonight. Thanks very much to you, the audience. The Doha debates will be back again at the end of October. Till then, from all of us on the team, have a safe journey home. Thanks for coming. Good night.